Yes, the boys are back. I've been looking forward to this since it was announced. I grew up with Beavis and Butthead, and hell yes, I was in a household where I was allowed to watch it. My mom and I would watch it at night, and we'd stop and watch it if it were on at the bowling alley. I had the VHS tapes too, where the one I wore out the most was probably the Mr. Anderson tape, which were among my favorite episodes. And I had the Sega Genesis game, which I was great at, thanks to this. I used to do Beavis and Butthead artwork at my school. My friends and I went to see Beavis and Butthead Do America on opening night, which opened on my birthday. And it was a packed house where people held up lighters during the hallucination sequence. So yeah, I identified with this show. I was a latchkey kid, so even if I wasn't allowed to watch it, I'd have done it anyway. I had a lot of time before anyone came home. After school, I'd come home, make something in the microwave, and watch music videos or my Beavis and Butthead tapes. Watching Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe is like hanging out with old friends from school, and it's endearing that they're still there kicking each other in the nuts. Like how the first movie started simple with their TV getting stolen, which then led to them being hired by a killer and ending up on the most wanted list. In this film, they're messing with a kicking machine at a science fair, and one thing leads to another, and they go to outer space, get sucked into a black hole, and end up in the year 2022. I love that even though they're in a different time, it's not really a fish out of water story since they're never aware that they're in a different year. They learn that you can pay for things with a phone, so they go to any business they can and buy nachos, even if that place wouldn't normally sell nachos. The only Beavis and Buttheads who are aware they need to get back to the wormhole are Smart Beavis and Smart Butthead from another universe, and even they're kinda dumb. This is the kind of socio-political commentary that Mike Judge does so well, like in the original series with Beavis and Butthead being a product of their own environment and a multi-layered satire of 90s youth culture. In this, like in the series, everyone is still dumb, as they constantly think Beavis and Butthead are these brilliant masterminds, or they think they're being noble, like letting the boys get away with things because they were inspired by an episode of Touched by an Angel. The adults think they themselves are smart, but are dumb and naive for completely different reasons. There is a scene in this where Beavis and Butthead go to a university, and it's one of the funniest goddamn sequences in any movie this year. And the characters grow as much as they can, while still totally remaining in character. Yes, there's a third act breakup, and yes, it involves watching ladybugs humping. It does a great job of putting Beavis and Butthead in present time, way better than the 2011 revival did. At least here, there is a reason for them to be in the present, whereas in 2011, the revival was funny, but it was weird seeing them suddenly being in present time, considering how stereotypically 90s they are. That season would have been better if they went with the original idea of aging the characters. There's things I could criticize about the movie. Some gags go on a little long, and whether it's Do America or Do the Universe, again we have a plot where the government is after Beavis and Butthead, and they think Beavis and Butthead are criminal masterminds. And while it's not as much of a road movie as the first one, there is still a little bit of that here too. It does have familiar territory, but it still works because the laughs are there, and I like the movie's villains. The first one to me felt more theatrical than this, whereas this does feel a bit like a backdoor pilot, but a really good one that makes me excited to see what kind of series is going to come out of it. So it does its job on that front. I'll give it a very, very high B+. We had a great time watching this. The satire still felt fresh, the characters are still endearing, it did nostalgia well, and was an original take on a familiar time travel story. The movie's available now on Paramount Plus and is definitely worth it. Plus, check out our recent midnight screenings where we reviewed Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and stay tuned later this week where I'll be reviewing the new Minions movie, so see you next time.